When you start living with the end in mind, everything starts to change. What are people going to say about you? What message is your life going to speak when you're long gone? Because you weren't born by accident. You didn't just happen to be where you're at and happen to watch this video. There is always a reason. As soon as you share it, let me know, and we're good, man. We go for it. We're going to have the funniest conversation.
Well, I think I've shared it. So,
Eric, 8 p.m. where you are, Eric. It is 12:40 p.m. where we are, so it's mid-afternoon in New Zealand. Okay, well, here we go, guys. I just want to welcome you to the Fuse Life Podcast, episode number 12. And today I have a good friend of mine, Benji Alexander, joining me. I think this guy is... I don't know how many words I would use to describe him, but the best thing I love about this man is his heart, and also he knows how to have fun. So I'm super, super grateful to have him on here. Welcome, Benji.
Thanks, my man. Good to be here, and this is going to be a blast.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself before we move forward?
Well, I have spent the last 10 years going after revival, and actually longer than that I've been pursuing revival. To be honest, since I was 18. I had this encounter with Jesus at 18, which wasn't like a supernatural, radical, sucked into heaven like Isaiah. It was just the still small voice of God got a hold of me and spoke into the very core of my being, to a place where I knew that I was called for revival in our nation. And so since then, which is 17 years, I've been pursuing revival. And, sometimes you go out after revival. Actually, I pray, just praying for revival and those types of things. But really, actually, what's happened over the last 17 years, the thing that's actually happened is I finally have discovered who I am as a son. And, so who knows? Who knows whether the next 17 years will be just more of discovering more of the present reality of my sonship or not, but that's probably been the most significant thing over the last 17 years, is discovering the nature of my papa, which isn't what I thought it was, and then discovering my own identity as a son and what that is, and that has been glorious.
Bam! So this began when you were 18. Normally we hear stories of people who kind of, did all this other stuff and had a transformation. It's so good to hear a story that kind of has always been pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I explained that. It sounded better in my head. But it's so good to have you. Now, guys, if you have any inappropriate theology questions, please throw them on here, because we're going to talk about this whole thing. So I guess we start off just by going, well, Benji, what does it mean to be a son?
Well, I think that first of all, it's event and, it's process. It's process. And I've been, I think one of the most, I don't know if it's one of the most, but it's a confusing verse in the Bible, is John 1:12, that says, those who believed in him, he gave the right to become sons of God. And it's a quite a deep, messy topic, but there's different theological perspectives on how you become a son, right? So I actually didn't used to know that there was other theological perspectives out there apart from Calvinism and Arminianism. I thought I was doing real well as a theological scholar to know those words, Calvinism and Arminianism. Wow, I know these words. But what I didn't know is that that's only been a small slice of the theological pie throughout the Christian journey and Christian, historical theology. That's only a piece of the pie. And it's not the nicest, not the juiciest part of the pie either. So there's another whole dimension, Trinitarian theology, and then there's a whole bunch of other dimensions of Christian belief. And so Calvinism, right? Calvinism would say that God predestined those who are going to be sons, and that only maybe 5% or less of all humanity will ever be sons, and that's it, and no one else. And he's not interested in any other sons. And to be honest, he predestined the rest of humanity not to be sons and to suffer unending, unspeakable torment. And that God reminds me more of a demon than Jesus. So that's called scary theology. And then Arminianism, which is what most mainstream Christian stuff in our world right now is Arminianism. And so that is basically Jesus died for everyone, and everyone's got the opportunity to be a son, but you have to do something to actually become a son. And that's the perspective that most translations translate John 1:12 from, is that if you believe the right thing, then you can become a son. But then the awkward thing about that is, then what if you aren't believing the right thing? What if you go through a season of doubt? What if you go through a season of struggle, and the thing that got you in is the thing that keeps you in, and the thing that got you in was you believing just the right stuff? And if you're not believing just the right stuff, then maybe you're not a son anymore. Whereas the Trinitarian approach, which I find a much juicier, tastier part of the pie, approaches it from a different perspective, which is that we're all sons. And in Genesis 1, God created all humanity in his image. Humanity was created in his image. And sonship is not behaving the right way or simply believing the right way, but sonship, the journey of sonship, is a beautiful journey of becoming who we already are. It's about discovering the present reality of our sonship, that on my good days and on my bad days, I'm as a son can be. And for me, it was great being, always being in the church, in a sense, always loving Jesus, always kind of being on that journey. That was great, but I get so messed up with my identity in the midst of the church, so messed up by performance-based identity. And also, I had spiritual schizophrenia. I was a spiritual bipolar, because one day, I'm being told I've got this horrendous sinful nature that, I'm totally deplorable at the core of who I am. There's something despicable that's like the essence of me, that the essence of who I am, something in there is perverted and corrupted and sinful and just wrong and evil. And then the next day I'm being told I'm the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. So where am I? How am I supposed to do this thing? So the beautiful thing for me has been discovering that sonship is not something that my believing makes true, right? The good thing about the truth is the truth before we believe it.
Yeah.
And Jesus said we would know the truth, and the truth would set us free. He didn't say that when we believe the truth, all of a sudden it would become true. The truth is that we were made in his image, and our identity is a present reality. And the beautiful thing about sonship is the present reality of unpacking that I am already as a son can be. I'm already as love can be. I'm already as in can be. I'm already as family can be. I'm already as one can be. And I'm already, I'm already as in can be.
All right. Well, I have a question for you, and this is something people talk about, the sons of disobedience that's mentioned. I don't know the exact chapter and verse, but maybe you can talk about that a little bit, where it talks about sons of disobedience. So, because what you're saying, right, is that everyone is a son, and you just got to realize it and accept it. Will that be true?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Luke 15, where Jesus tells the story of the lost son. Right. So the word lost, the whole chapter of Luke 15 is about lost things. So there's a lost sheep. and then there's a lost coin,
Yeah.
and then there's a lost son. But the word lost is the Greek word apolumi, and it's the same word we use to say someone was in hell. Like someone was perishing, someone was in apolumi, or someone was doomed. They were apolumi. So the same word that we use to basically describe that someone's going to hell, or someone's totally lost, someone's as far away as far can be, that we would use the word apolumi. So when Jesus said the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son, he was pressing some buttons, right? He's pressing our buttons, but we just translate it. In that chapter, we translate it lost because it fits more with our paradigms rather than perishing or doomed, or like some of those cataclysmic, hell-bound definitions of the word apolumi. So in Luke 15, we translate it just lost because that's nicer for us, right? So the lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost son. Well, Jesus his whole story is about a lost son. He's saying, like, this son is as lost can be. This son is in the very pits of despair. This son hates his father. This son betrayed his father. This son has done everything that he could to disown, disconnect, betray, and create distance from his father. So in our world, right, we would say that person's an unbeliever or a sinner or a pagan or, someone far from God. Well, that's who Jesus is talking about in the story of the lost son. So that's who we would say, well, these are the sons of disobedience. That guy right there is the son of disobedience. That guy right there is as far from God as anyone would be. Not only was, and he's worse than just your average person who's never known God, because he knew God and still betrayed him and still turned on him and still hated him, still in that act where he said, give me my inheritance now. He said, you mean nothing to me, and I would prefer it if you were dead and I had my money. So the point is, though, right, Jesus welds those two together because he calls him the lost son. The whole story is the lost and the son. So it's like a paradox right there in the very title is a paradox, because it's apolumi, which is destruction, doomed, as far from God as you could be, right? But a son at the same time. So he's welded forever our sonship to us. It doesn't matter how far we are away from the Father. If you're with the pigs, if you're with the prostitutes, if you're with, if you've signed up for the addiction, if you've signed up for the course on condemnation and isolation and shame, and you're passing with flying colors, if you're in the very pit, then you qualify as a son. Jesus welded humanity's lostness and our sonship together so that we would catch the picture that, it doesn't matter where we are or where we've been or where our journey's taken us, our sonship, our identity is welded to us. And here's the thing that, when the son came back, the father didn't go, oh, wow, I want to make you a son. So when the father came back, there's only one place in the Bible where you actually see something close to what we call the sinner's prayer. And it's actually here in Luke 15, where the son has rehearsed what we call the sinner's prayer. And then he comes to the father and he starts reciting basically what we call the sinner's prayer, except the father didn't even want to hear about it. He had no interest in this guilt trip that the son was on. What he wanted to do is endorse the legitimacy of the son's sonship. He wanted to endorse the present reality of his sonship. So he just smothered him with love. He wrapped him up with love. He consumed him with love. It's time for a ring. Get some ring on. Let's get a robe on. Let's get sandals on. He basically did, well, like the killing the fattened calf as well is like, it was a type of paralleling it to a bar mitzvah, right? So a bar mitzvah is you are a son. You're as son as a son can be, You just haven't gone through a protocol that's actually endorsed your sonship. You haven't stepped into the full rights, responsibilities, and privileges of your sonship. Now, that's what I would say. There's a like a type here. There's a picture here unfolding of what it means to not be in the Father's house. Right? He was a son, but he wasn't in the Father's house. And the Father actually, and he welcomes him back into the house. So there's a difference there between being a son, but a son who doesn't live in the house. And that would be, I think it's paralleled in a sense to before bar mitzvah in the Jewish custom. You don't have legal rights, responsibilities, and privileges of your sonship, even though you're a son. But once the bar mitzvah unfolds, which often took place with the killing of the fattened calf and a feast that fed the whole village, that's often what took place in a bar mitzvah. And then, boom, he becomes a son in his father's house. Now, that's totally different. Now he's got he's got legal rights, responsibilities, privileges, and access to all his birthright. But it was his birthright all along. He's just stepped into that.
Man, that's so good. I got one more question, then we can move from the subject. But at some point, I think it's Matthew 23, I was just trying to look up there, where Jesus says to the Pharisees, and then he references how that these guys go to make a disciple and they make them twice the son of the devil.
Yeah, totally. So you'll notice that if you look at the Beatitudes as well, it says things like, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Right? So there's one dynamic of sonship which you take if you're going to go back into the culture of the day, then sonship was, let me just think about how to put this. You were a son based on, there was this dynamic that your behavior demonstrated who you were a son of. So your behavior is actually exposing your beliefs. All right. So it doesn't matter what your talk is saying, but your behavior is exposing your allegiances. Because those guys weren't saying we're raising up sons of hell, right? They were saying we're raising up the best sons. We're raising up, these guys are the shits. These guys are amazing. But what Jesus is saying is actually your actions betray your allegiance. And your allegiance to my Father, because your actions are contradictory to my actions. So your actions reveal your allegiance, which is to a different Father. That's why he said, that he often said that to them. But he's not, what you have to understand is that he's not actually saying, in one sense he's saying, yes, you're a son of hell, or yes, you're children of the devil, but he's at the same time not saying you're children of the devil. Okay? Because what we do is we have to see that there's a distinction here in how God operates, because most people don't realize this, that God makes a distinction between our behavior and our identity. Okay, so if you don't realize that God makes a distinction between behavior and identity, you're going to get confused when you read what Jesus is saying. Because sometimes Jesus says, look, you're children of the devil. What? But at the same time, he says, I've given you the same glory or the same identity that my Father gave me, and he's saying it of the same people. Okay, so what he does say, he says, repent all the time. He says, look at you brood of vipers. But there's a difference between identifying the behaviors and making identity statements. And most of us don't understand that there's a difference between Jesus exposing behavior, which is absolutely wicked and vile, and he pulls no punches when he says, boom, vipers, sons of the devil, what? But he's not making identity statements when he's doing that. He's exposing behavior, which exposes your allegiance, which exposes your belief systems. And if those belief systems aren't exposed, you'll never have the opportunity to confront your own delusion and then repent. So when he's cutting, he's like the axe is already at the root of the trees. And so, boom, he comes in and he does cut like an axe at the root of the trees of those false identities. He wants to hack those false identities down. And so when he is brutal when he exposes behavior, but you've got to be really, really careful to understand that but God doesn't weld behavior with identity. And that's why you can already have the righteousness, you can already be the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus and still be struggling through your addiction, still be struggling through your condemnation, still be working out your identity. So what happens, though, is the more you become fully persuaded, the more you katalambano is the Greek word, the more you apprehend and fully possess and fully understand the present reality of your sonship and your identity, then the behaviors lose all those behaviors just melt away, and the behaviors of sonship, like peacemaker, start manifesting. So then you've actually shifted your identity in one sense. You're recognized now. Your behavior now betrays your allegiance. So now you're recognized as a son of God.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. That was good. I think Jesus was funny. The living word. He was the living word. He was sharp and active, and he cut through, separated. It's funny that he even referred to Peter like that many times and talked about Satan looking at Peter. So I get you. So let's go into this thing now. So the Bible says all of creation is eagerly waiting for these sons to manifest. We have seen all these moves of God in the past and revivals where people came to churches and got supernaturally healed, and there's gold dust and clouds and all this kind of stuff. What do you believe God is doing now? 2019, the sons, like there's more talk of sonship. There's more apprehension. No, there's more. There's more what?
Anticipation,
but there's more apprehending. Like there's more receiving. There's more reception of sonship now than ever before, I think. And it's talked about more. So what do you feel is happening right now, 2019, in the church? What's God's plan?
I think that seasons are changing. I think that we are presently in the greatest reformation in world history. In the sense that this reformation is going to have more impact. But, it's only because of the previous reformations that have taken place to get us here. But I think seasons are changing. And the cool thing about when seasons change is that when seasons change, what was once rare becomes common. Right? In the winter, in the dead of winter, you're not expecting lambs and daffodils and, new babies, you're not expecting that. Those are reserved for springtime. That's when we anticipate those things. We anticipate them in springtime. And so what's rare in winter is common in spring in terms of baby lambs being born and all those beautiful things that happen, daffodils and all those things that happen in springtime. They're really common in spring. And so I think this is the season of sonship. So, for example, in the season of the orphan, the son was uncommon, was a rare thing. But now in the season of sonship, it's like, boom, watch out, baby, because they're popping up all over the world, and they're crazy, wild people. Crazy, wild people, and they're manifesting in so many different ways. There's so much diversity in it. There's crazy diversity in the way that God is revealing sons. And I like the verse you quoted there in Romans 8 as well. All creation is groaning for the unveiling of the sons of God. Interesting, the Greek word for unveiling or revelation is apocalypse. Have you ever thought that all creation is groaning for the apocalypse? All creation is groaning for the apocalypse.
Yeah, good. You're going to have to talk about the apocalypse.
The book of Revelation, right? The book of Revelation is also the book of apocalypse. That's the Greek word is the book of apocalypse or the book of Revelation. All creation is groaning for the unveiling of the sons of God. So, question then, if all creation is groaning for this apocalypse, the unveiling of the sons of God, then we're going to ask ourselves, what's covering us?
Mm.
If that's what, it's like, all creation is groaning for the apocalypse, the unveiling of the sons of God. It's not that we need to be created. It's not that we don't exist. We're right here, and all creation is waiting for the ta-da moment.
Yeah.
And this ta-da moment doesn't actually have to be that difficult.
Yeah.
Because all this veil is here is false identities. It's lies that we've believed. And if we just put away the false identities, right? Just get rid of those bad boys. See if I can. No, I was looking for something to burn it. Anyway, let's just get rid of those false identities. We don't need them. But when those false identities disappear, and boom, we're there we are. And I think this is what's happening. Is God is just going boop, boop, just revealing sons all over the world right now, and it's happening like crazy. I mean, obviously, I've never lived in any other time, but historically, I don't think I've ever read of a season like this where sonship was being unveiled this dramatically, this extensively, this diversely. And I think it's worth stating that it's the way that the sonship is being unveiled right now is really, really diverse.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit, and so I'm glad you brought that up. Can you talk about this like one end to the other on the spectrum of what a son could be manifesting or looking like right now? Generically.
Well, I've got something going on in my head, which I want to say because I think it's really important. I was chatting with a friend, Larry. He's a legend in the States when I was there, and he said if we don't start with belonging, we end up weaponizing belonging. And I think that this, when it comes to sonship and it comes to diversity, I think that our tendency is to do what we've always done with denominations. And we create these little tick box lists of what you have to do and what you have to believe in order to
belong,
be a son. Or in order to be in this little group that you've got going on. And so I think that that there's multiple groups that claiming, they've got the revelation on sonship, creating little tick box lists of what it means to be a son. But I think that Papa doesn't really have that same tick box requirements of what it means to be in our movement. I don't think he has that same set of requirements of this. If you want to be in the sonship movement, my friends, you've got to be this, and this. I don't think that's how the Father operates. I think that he is just as happy to embrace a lost son and just saying, hey, right now you're as son as a son can be. So what would it look like? What could it look like? I think it could look like an ecology, like a forest. So if you go out and you look at a forest, I think this is how it would be in the Father's house, right? I think the Father's house would look like a healthy ecology. So a forest, you go out and look at a forest and there's big trees and there's little trees and none of them are trying to tick boxes. None of them are trying to tick boxes. What they do try and do is they do try and go for the light. They do try and reach for the light, which is very cool. They all aspire to get closer to the light. But you've got big trees, you've got little trees, you've got some tree, you've got the leaf litter, and you've got all sorts of animals and creatures. And I just say that it's a diversity that's celebrated, but in a healthy ecology, everything is growing. Everything is thriving in the midst of the process. Like in a healthy ecology, you don't look at a little tree and go, oh, wow, that's one sad-looking tree. You look like, wow, you can celebrate the growth of that little tree. You can look at a little seed that's just gone bing and popped through the soil, and there's celebration right there. There's like, wow, this is amazing. Look at where you are. But I think that if we have a different lens, and this is how I'm trying to approach it, and I don't know that many people approach it from this perspective, right? Of in the Father's house, there's an ecology, and everything's to be celebrated. And, some trees look real different. And there's vines, and then there's shrubs, and then there's massive podocarp, huge trees, and then little bushes and ferns, and the diversity is where the beauty is. And if you look at the diversity in nature, everything produces a harmony, and everything produces a synergy, and everything produces life for another part of the ecology. Everything is adding value into the system. And so I think that's what the Father's house looks like. But I think that what we try and do is we try and become the bathroom movement. Right? If you want to be in the bathroom, this is what it means, right? So we take a slice of the Father's house and go, ha, we nailed it. We just nailed it. Yes. All right. And we go, this is what it means to be in the Father's house. If you want to be in the Father's house, you've got to look like a bathroom. But what? That's just craziness. It's like saying, it's just like what Paul wrote about in Corinthians. It said, it's like a body has diversity and everything's to be celebrated. Our weaker members are to be held in greater esteem and greater honor. And so I think that's what sonship looks like right now. I think it looks like a massive ecology, and I think that if we aren't going to start with belonging, that even the lost son, if the lost son doesn't belong in the Father's house, then we start creating all these tick boxes, and our movement is based on believing the right things rather than, I think we should be really strong about family before theology. I think we should be really, really strong on that. Your family, regardless of what you believe. Your family before theology, and belonging before believing. And we all know that when you have that context of belonging and you're celebrated, you're going to thrive, you're going to grow.
Yeah, I love that analogy, and there's people on here who like that analogy too. That's awesome, of the ecology and the garden and the trees, and that's awesome. So let's move into this a little bit. Effortless bliss. I know this is one of your favorite subjects, and we should probably talk about that. What is this bliss, and how do you make it effortless, Benji?
Sweet. So we'll probably be. What have we got? We've got about 10 minutes or so left.
Maybe 15, 20, if you have that.
Yeah. So, well, effortless bliss is the default setting that you were created with. All right. So that's just how you were made. That's how God made us. When God created us, He created us in His image. And guess what God's default setting is? God's default setting is effortless bliss. He doesn't have to wake up in the morning and go, oh, man, what am I going to have to do to get happy? It's the essence of who He is. It is literally the substance and the essence of His nature. Okay, and so when all creation is groaning for the apocalypse, all creation is groaning for the unveiling of the sonship, all creation is groaning for everything that's over you and in you, like just all the belief systems that have been established in you that rob you of your default setting, that rob you of the essence of who you are, being loved, the essence of who you are being bliss, the essence of who you are being ecstasy and joy, unspeakable and full of glory and unspeakable ecstatic light. All creation is groaning that everything that veils the full manifestation of the divinity of the Trinity being manifest in you, all creation is groaning for that to be removed, right? So a default setting. So what is effortless bliss? Effortless bliss, or something that's effortless, is really where you're at in terms of something's become effortless in our lives because we've created a state of being, right? Our state of being is an effortless place. We don't have to struggle to step into our state of being. We've already done all the hard work. So it starts like this. It starts with a practice becomes a habit, and a habit becomes a reflex, and a reflex becomes a lifestyle, and a lifestyle becomes a state of being. So what I think the journey of sonship, a big part of the journey of sonship, the beautiful journey, is a journey back from wherever we are now, right? In our journey, we're all like the lost son. We're all the lost son at some stage. And our journey back from our apolumi, our journey back from hell into the Father's house, is a journey of, it's actually a journey back to how we were created. Created in His image, where our default settings are the same default setting as who He is. Our essence is the same essence as who He is. Our substance is the same substance as who He is. Our state of being is the same state of being as who He is. And who He is, right? Christ in us, the hope of glory, the fullness of the Trinity is manifest in us. You know, like humanity and divinity have been, like, Christ fused humanity and divinity together. He fused us. So to be fully human is to be fully divine. To be fully human is to be fully divine. Christ has fused our humanity with His divinity, which took us all the way back to Genesis 1, which is how we were always created, in the image, in the likeness, substance for substance, essence for essence, glory for glory, face for face, likeness for likeness, substance for substance. We're created from Him. Like the essence of who He is who we are. And our life journeys, we learn all sorts of lies, and these lies culminate to false definitions of who we are, and they veil us, and they create all sorts of addictions and behaviors that lead us to develop a brand new normal or a new state of being. So that new state of being, it might be depression, it might be addiction, it might be condemnation, it might be isolation. All of that stuff can actually be dealt with. It's always rooted in a lie. So if you want to get rid of it, you actually reset your default settings, right? And your default setting and my default setting, the default setting of all humanity, is we're made in His image. So if we actually press the button and hit the reset, the place that we would all land is we'd have the same default setting as the Trinity, which their default setting is effortless bliss. As a state of being, no struggle, like no working it up, no hype. This is just who we are. We are love. We are bliss. We are ecstasy. We are joy unspeakable and full of glory. We are delight on steroids. That's who we are. And so the beautiful journey, it's metanoia. It's what Jesus said. It's the first line that He had: repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. It's Romans 12:2. Be transfigured, be metamorpho by the renewing of your mind. Well, here's the thing, so effortless bliss, I've got a quote that I love, which is, the secret to effortless bliss is hard work. Like the reality is, it's actually, if you take a step back, the secret to effortless bliss is the renewed mind. But people think that the renewed mind is just going to happen organically. And that's bullshit, right? That's like the concept that the thought that your mind is going to renew itself organically is absolute rubbish. You have to invest yourself in that process. That's why Paul says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. That word salvation is the word, like the most common word for salvation in the New Testament is sozo. The other Greek word is soteri. But the most common word in the New Testament is sozo. And it has a Hebrew counterpart, which is the word shalom, right? And both of these words, sozo and shalom, they both mean, I'll use the Hebrew word shalom because that's the original thought. That's what sozo is trying to mirror, is the concept of shalom. It's everything functioning according to divine design. So sozo is shalom. Salvation is salvation. Like we've got our heads messed up on what salvation means. We go, I got saved. Well, the meaning of what you're saying, right? When you said I got saved, is that I got everything in my entire world functioning according to divine design. Everything in my body, soul, spirit, circumstances is now functioning perfectly according to divine design. Did you really get saved? Huh. Or did you take one tiny little step towards salvation? Salvation is a process, the end result of salvation. If you got saved, right, there's no way you got saved without getting effortless bliss. It is impossible to get saved without getting effortless bliss.
Wow.
Right? Because getting saved is returning to your default setting. Getting saved is returning to the beginning. Getting saved is returning to shalom. Getting saved is returning to being made in His image. Getting saved in the full measure of the word. Now, it's event and process, so it's a beautiful journey, stepping deeper and deeper into it as we renew our minds. But if you get saved, like by the meaning of the actual word, sozo or shalom, everything is going to function in your life. Everything will function according to divine design, which means that you will become an exact mirror of the Trinity. Everything about you will perfectly personify and mirror divinity. And it is impossible to get saved without getting effortless bliss. But what we did is we created a false finish line. And we said the moment you pray this prayer, right, you pray a prayer and then you get saved, and then people get confused because they're like, did I really get saved? You started the process of unveiling your sonship. What you've done is you've taken another step towards unveiling the present reality of your sonship. You've taken another step, a powerful step when you come back to the Lord. Like when you have that big moment when you finally encounter the love of the Father and you pledge your allegiance, you step back into your Father's house, amazing. But the journey has just begun. So to say that is what you fully got saved then is ridiculous in terms of the actual meaning of the word. But to get fully saved is to return to the beginning when you are seamlessly one with the Trinity. Everything about your life is a perfect expression of divinity.
Yeah, wow.
And if you get saved, you can't help but get effortless bliss. Like you can't get saved without getting effortless bliss. It's impossible in that sense of the full meaning of the word. So the secret to effortless bliss is hard work. It's not that it's so much just hard work, it's that it's the process of renewing your mind. So that's why 2 Corinthians 10:5 says we take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. That's of the millions and billions and trillions of thoughts that have ever passed through your belief system, taking captive every thought. The process of renewing your mind is literally grabbing a hold of every single stored thought and memory in your entire belief system and bringing it in alignment to Christ, who is the Logos, the Word of God, the truth, the life, the light. When you bring every thought into alignment with the truth, the life, the light, what happens is it renews your mind and you actually get to, like, the only thing separating you from effortless bliss is a belief. So the hard work is in repenting. It's in digging deep, going into the very. And I don't like my pursuit in the process of discovering effortless bliss has not been right today. I'm going to figure out what's wrong with me. It hasn't been navel gazing and introspective, judgmental, searching out my own failures and weakness and sin. It simply follow Jesus. In John 8:12, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So he said that. He makes an identity statement, which is, I am the light of the world. Geographically, he goes nowhere, and then says, anyone who follows me. And so the follow that he's talking about is not a geographical following, but it's a following him in the way that he thinks about who he is. It's if you believe the same glory that defines Jesus defines you, then you will never walk in darkness, which means you'll have a sinless existence. There won't be a trace of sin in you, and you will have the light of life. The word have is the Greek word echo. So it means that you will become an exact echo of the full manifestation of the Godhead. You'll become an exact echo of the Trinity. You'll become an exact echo of the life of Christ, the fragrance of Christ, the sound of Christ, the frequency of Christ, the vibration of Christ. You will become an echo of Christ. You'll become an echo of the Trinity. And it also means, the word have there also means to hold in one's hand and to wear it like a garment. So you will wear like a garment, you will echo, you will hold in your hand, and you will wear like a garment life, he says. And the word there is Zoe. It's the Greek word for the divine life. Zoe is effortless bliss. Zoe is the default setting of the Trinity. Zoe is the full, like that word Zoe represents the full manifestation of the divine life, the full manifestation of the nature of the Trinity. That's what Zoe represents. Wow. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, and they will have the light of life. Wow, this. And that light of life 100% absolutely includes effortless bliss. If you follow Jesus the way that you were called to follow Jesus, effortless bliss is a guarantee.
Wow.
So the question is not, we shouldn't question then effortless bliss. We should question our follow. Like, are we following the right way? Like, how's your follows right? Your effortless bliss is guaranteed. All right, and like an oversimplification. And I'm not saying that you won't have struggle, you won't have persecution, you won't have suffering. I'm saying that even in the midst of Christ's passion and his suffering and his persecution, he had effortless bliss. He didn't lose his substance or lose his essence. He maintained that divine life through it all, and we get to maintain the divine life through it all. And you can have, I've experienced this effortless bliss in the midst of my greatest persecution and suffering and effortless bliss hand in hand, smushed together.
So good. So good. I think I've experienced some of that. Well, it's 1:28. We're coming towards the end, but maybe we quickly just talk about Embassy. What is the Embassy? How did it form in your heart, and what are we planning to do through the Embassy?
Cool, man. Well, the Embassy at the moment, there's a Facebook group where you can connect and be a part of the Embassy. The Embassy is a group where we are providing free training. We're creating maybe a picture, maybe a little reflection of the Father's house. Yeah. Maybe it's like a little picture of the Father's house where you can come, you can jump on board. I know that I definitely didn't get taught any of the stuff about effortless bliss in church. It never happened to me. It happens through thousands of hours invested into following Jesus. into my secret place time, into following him through tribulation and suffering, and through intense Bible studies and intense prayer and encounters and just thousands of hours and years laid down. And so we want to create a place where people can actually discover their sonship and discover the Father and discover what it looks like to experience the normal Christian life of sonship. And so we've got a legendary crew, got Matt Lansdowne and Norm MacLeod and Joseph and myself, some of the key leaders in there, but it's also a place where there's live worship and we celebrate creativity. And going forward, we're going to be celebrating entrepreneurial dynamics and entrepreneurs and all sorts of things. So it's just like a beautiful place to be a part of a kingdom family and get some great training if that's what you want, or prayer times or worship times, and sharing the journey and the vision of good stuff that God's got going down. Ultimately, it's about discipling nations, but that has to start somewhere, and it has to start in our mindsets, our beliefs, and we've got to belong before we believe, before we behave. So if we want to disciple nations, which is a behavior, we've got to believe that we can, and we've got to understand who we are, but before we believe, we've got to have family. So ultimately, the embassy is about creating a family, a healthy ecology, a reflection of the Father's house where everyone can come, be a part of that community, and in the context of that family and ecology, get some good loving, some good training.
Boom. And guys, we're doing a 21-day intensive right now. It's free. You can jump on there. I'll put the link on the post here so you can just get into their group easy. There's also a website where you can sign up. So nice and simple. Well, this was epic. It's gone really fast. Normally at the end of our podcast episode, I ask our guests to give us a one-liner or a wisdom bomb or a quote or one powerful dynamite sentence that might be part of their season currently, or something that's carried them through. So what would be your one-liner?
Okay, my one-liner is, you're always on the verge of your greatest breakthrough.
Boom.
But I have to tell you that might not be true.
Yeah.
There's a proviso to it, right? There's a proviso to it. It's not true for the lazy person. You know, like, you're always on the verge of your greatest breakthrough while you're sitting on that couch playing Nintendo. Not true for you, buddy. So, you're always on the verge of your greatest breakthrough if you've got three things going down. If you've got hunger, if you've got teachability, and if you've got work ethic, then boom, you're always on the verge of your greatest breakthrough.
Bam.
Love you guys. It's been an honor being with you.
Man, there we go. These guys, you guys got treated. I'll tell you something, okay? Normally when we do podcasts, there's a lot of reactions. I don't know if you can see a reaction column, but I can see a reaction column, and it's around the 40 range. Normally it'll hit 100 and 100 something. I'll tell you why it's at a 40 range. It's because you dropped some deep food. And instead of being able to react, people are like, what? Because in the comments, they're all explaining that. So Benji will probably check out the comments, hopefully, if he has some time.
I'll check that out now.
Yeah. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And Benji, I want to thank you again for joining us. Episode number 12. I love you. I know we're doing life together. This is just the beginning. And I love everything that's happening right now. So thank you so much for your time, bro.
My man, a delight. Great to be with you. Lots of love to all of you guys at Choose Life.
All right. We're going to do this again at some point. It's going to get more inappropriate. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Please.
Faith and patience. Faith and patience. Patience means allow it to happen. Stay the same. Stay persistent. Keep going. Faith, know that it can happen at any moment. Get excited because it can happen at any moment. You were so close. Don't quit now. Keep pushing. You got this.